everybody, this is Catherine Bianchi. I'm your IT facilitator, and we're going to review the difference between a teacher-assigned lesson, interactive practice, and a comprehension check, and make sure everybody's knowing how to assign any one of those three things. So I think it's important to understand, what would the kids see? If you assign a teacher-assigned lesson, they have, when they log on, they're going to choose either math or reading. So if they're choosing math and they log on to math, when they go to CAI, they're going to be working on this side, which says My Path, and this is completely customized based on their diagnostic. Now, if you assign something, they'll see things on the left side, which will be teacher assigned. Now, if you give them a teacher assigned lesson, that includes a video, and then it includes a little quiz at the end. So these are helpful if you feel that more instruction on top of what you're doing in class is necessary, or maybe it's a review of something that you've taught several months ago, and they need additional instruction. So what it looks like on their end, if it's an actual lesson, they will see the lesson pop up, and then they would choose the next one in their feed, because you can see there's like a little scroll tab for the students. Now, what I found is that as a teacher, if you assign too many of these things and you have some students that are not keeping up with their work, then the more current thing might not even show up. Like, they'd have to pull the tab down. So my recommendation is to not assign too many of these in a month, because your more current lessons can sometimes get lost. Now, on their end, what do they see? Let's scroll down a little bit to show you. They're going to see their to-do, they're going to see their My Progress, and then, of course, they have their Follow My Path, where they can check their progress on either one of those things by checking this. But if they click on the to-do list, that's where all of your things that you assign will appear. So you'll have to review that with them. It may not be intuitive for them to know where to look for things. All right, so now let's kind of get into the teacher dashboard and make sure you understand how to assign the various options that you have. So if we go to Assess and Teach, do you see how they have Resources, Instruction, Assessment? So I'm going to click on Instruction, and there's two options. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on the difference between the two. If you do personalized instruction, that is a full-blown lesson with a quiz at the end. It does give a numeric value on the quiz that they take, which could potentially be used as a grade in your Aspen account. Now, the difficulty is it does take a while for the students to get through some of these things, and some students really don't. They dislike it heavily. Now, if you've given instruction on something and you just want them to have the interactive practice on it, then this is a good option as well. However, it's been my experience that they don't get a numeric value. They just click on, done, and it doesn't tell them whether they perform well on it or not. So they don't necessarily get the feedback. You get the feedback as a teacher, but the student doesn't get the feedback. However, with personalized instruction, not only do you get the feedback, but the students get the feedback as well. So let's start with looking at this first, because probably more people are going to be using that than some of the other options. Now, I've already assigned a lesson. In fact, I just assigned it a few minutes ago. And if we take a look at, I'm going to click on Manage Schedule. And I've assigned nets and surface area, so that my students will start to see that tomorrow. And then I'm expecting them to pick away at that throughout the week. And I'm hoping to get that done by the 7th of October. And if I want to actually view their progress, I can click here to see how they're doing on it. So if I wanted to create a new assignment, then I would click here, and it's a good idea to choose your grade level. And then you want to look through the material. Now, right now I happen to be working on geometry, but sometimes it's helpful to filter things out by domain. And when you filter them out by domain, it'll show you what's available in your grade level for that domain. So this was the lesson that I had already assigned. Now, it does allow you to preview it. You can preview how the instruction looks to the students, and you can also preview the quiz, which, of course, is an excellent idea for you to do that before you assign it. Now, let's say it was my thought that I should assign something else. I wanted to look and see which one of these things would be good to assign. So I haven't assigned this, but let's assume that I did want to assign. I would hit the box. I would hit Assign Lesson. I'd have to choose whether or not I want to assign it to all of my classes, one of my classes, one student, a couple of students. So if I wanted to assign it to my classes, I would hit that, then click the arrow, and then I would choose my two classes, and then I would hit Next. And then I would choose the date that I want it to appear, and then the date that I want them to have it done. Now, I'm not actually going to assign this, but if I was going to assign it, I would hit this green button and it would assign it. But I just want to make sure you understand on their end, what are they going to see? So I think I have a slide here that shows some examples of what the students see. Now, as the due date approaches, they will see the due date. And if it's due today, it'll say due today, so they know. And you will have to instruct them to look under teacher assigned lessons for those things that you assign. Now, do you see how this student here, they had started the lesson, but they never finished it? I found that that was a bit of a problem for some of my students. Like, they didn't follow through. They would start it and they didn't even realize that they didn't do it. So you'll have to remind them also about that. Like, I really want them to finish a lesson before they go on to the next one. And you can see that this student had actually started this one, never finished it, started this one, never finished it. And this was one that was coming up for a student of mine. So that's something that you really have to go through. So usually I actually show this to my students so that they know what they're looking for. Now, again, they don't tell them to look for that little pull tab so that they can see, because if they don't finish the lesson and they just have all these lessons hanging over their head like a big black cloud, they'll just keep accumulating. And I'm not sure I think they still appear even after the due date has passed. I'm pretty sure they do, but I don't know for how long they keep appearing there, because hypothetically, if you have that one student that never completes any assignments, they might have 10 or 15 things in there, and they start to get lost in it. So they will need your help with that. All right, so that's teacher assigned lesson. And again, I recommend using these when one of the following situations might be in your situation. So if you have students that need additional instruction, this is a good option. If you've taught something a while back and they need review on additional instruction for that reason, then this would be a good option. Now, what about for you've given instruction, full-blown instruction in class, and you don't want them to have to go through watching the video again on the instruction? Let's look at what your options are there. So if we go to instruction, if you don't want the full-on video and then the guided practice and the little quiz after, interactive practice is a good option. So with the interactive practice, I'm not a fan of how this isn't organized as well as some of the other options are, but you'd want to click on your grade level, unless you're looking to supplement for a student that's behind level. And then you kind of look, what's nice about this is it does follow the sequence of our textbook. So let's say you wanted something on, find area of triangles and other polygons. It does give you an option to preview the thing, and it also gives you the estimated run time. But I find that some kids actually take a lot longer than what it says here. I don't know, why that is, but that seems to be the case. All right, so these are all here. The one thing I do want to remind you is that they don't get the feedback. They'll answer the questions, they click the button, they don't know that they got number 3 wrong. Only you know that they got number 3 wrong. But it does give you a nice little report so that you can look at your students as a whole on any one of these topics. And they still have the same option of the managed schedule on that as well. All right, so the next thing I want to go over is this tool called Comprehension Check. Now, what's nice about this, for each lesson, it does give 2 options. And I'll just open up Find the Area of a Parallelogram version A. And if you want to preview it, it will let you look at, there's usually 5 questions per comprehension check. So I apologize if that's in the way, but here's question 1, here's question 2, here's question 3, 4, and 5. And it does give a nice comprehensive report for each student on how they performed on the comprehension check. Now, it does not give them feedback. It gives you feedback. It does not give them feedback. So if you want feedback available to your students, this might not be a good option. I do believe it's intended to be used for quizzes, and I'm pretty sure that this matches almost identically to what the paper version of what's in the resources that they give you for the little quizzes. When I say that, I'm talking about, let me just show you what I mean. In the teacher toolbox, for each lesson, they do give, and I'll just click on a lesson as an example. There is a quiz, like a paper quiz version in here somewhere. And I want to say that it kind of matches that. The comprehension checks are very similar to that. Yeah, here it is right here. I'm pretty sure that the questions are pretty similar to what you would see here. All right. So let's just make sure we'll go back. Let me get out of this. Go back to the teacher dashboard. Make sure we understand how to access the results of this thing. So when you're ready to look at the results, so you've given your kids adequate time to complete the task. If you want to look at the results of it, you want to look if it's a teacher assigned lesson, you would want to look in here. If it's interactive practice, you would want to look in here. And if it's a comprehension check, then you would obviously want to look in here. So you can easily get lost because there's those three different things that you could potentially assign. And it can be a little bit tricky to look at the results in a way that you like. I will make another video because what I found is that the teacher assigned lessons, sometimes it's hard to get all of your gang for one lesson on one page. There's a little trick to that. So look for that video. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Again, this is Catherine Bianchi. My email is bianchik@scolony.org. I'd be happy to help you. Good luck with your students this year, and I think you're going to find some of these tools very helpful.